You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans and avoid recycling waxed paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold? Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Braves fans. Thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves and bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show daily at noon right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines 2 of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM. And simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, #1 sports station.
This is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. The National Football League is back at it tonight, 8:15 Eastern on Amazon Prime. You'll get the Buffalo Bills traveling to the New England Patriots. The Bills are a 3.5-point favorite in New England. Over-under sits at about 43. The game is enormously important in the AFC East standings. Bills are sitting at 8-3, tied with the Miami Dolphins, while the New England Patriots are 2 games back, sitting at 6-5. In the AFC wildcard standings, the Bills have the first wild card and the 5 seed. Patriots on the outside looking in, a game back of the Jets and the Bengals. They are the 8th seed going into the season. We're looking ahead to your college football weekend. Tomorrow there is an early game, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Plus. Akron is at Buffalo. Not a game of importance, but the line is Buffalo by 11. The over-under sits at 55. Also tomorrow night, North Texas is at UTSA. That's for the Conference USA Championship. UTSA 8.5-point favorites, over-under 69. Tomorrow night on Fox, the Pac-12 championship game sees number 11 Utah trying to sweep the Southern Cal Trojans, who are number 4 in the country. It's Southern Cal's only loss from earlier in the year, a 1-point loss to the Utes. That line is at 2.5. Southern Cal the favorite. The over-under has risen to 68. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum and Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important it is? We're trying to save the public. Really? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Dave, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
Radio station. The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio. We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good afternoon. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Computers are 20 years smarter. Let's bring back the BCS because this college football committee is garbage. I'll explain it later.
Hi, I'm Magee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Holy crap, what's going on in Gainesville? We'll explain that too.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Yeah, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Welcome. Thursday afternoon. How the hell are you, Mr. Justin Waller?
I'm doing great, Mac. Excited to be back on air with you and discussing some post-Thanksgiving playoff committee rankings because this is garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into that, and this might be hitting you by surprise because kind of hit the whole world by surprise, but we're just going to react as we go here. There's news coming out of Gainesville, and it popped off late Wednesday afternoon. We're getting more and more information as it rolls in, so I don't want to jump to too many conclusions. But long story short, the backup quarterback for the Florida Gators, Kitna, and I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. First of all, it's Jalen Kitna, was arrested for child pornography distribution and having child pornography on him. Now, all the different things are going to come out about it, so I really don't want to jump to too many conclusions because I don't want to misspeak and then come to find out it was all ado about nothing. But this is a big, big black eye for the program. What say you?
Yeah, no bueno. Unless Auburn released it and then welcome Hugh Freeze. Nobody's talking about him anymore. I mean, way to dump one out on the opponent there. I'm like you. Let's be cautious to see what unveils in this, but does not look good. And
he's been arrested on 5 charges, according to Gainesville Police, 5 charges of child pornography. Kitna is a true freshman. I believe it was shocking. It's TMZ that broke this. Of course, they're always the ones. But true freshman at Florida. And yes, he is the son of former NFL quarterback John Kitna. So like I said, I don't want it because, man, you got families involved in this and you just really don't know what in the world is true and what isn't true nowadays. But if this is remotely true, they've got a huge problem in Gainesville because I do believe you're going to get Anthony Richardson to head to the NFL. And it was looked upon as Kitna was going to be their guy, right? I don't see how you come back from this. Even if this ends up being much to do about nothing, you probably have to start over somewhere no matter what, right?
I would think so.
I mean, this isn't like a drunken bar fight We're talking about some serious allegations.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that you're all hands on deck, and you are in the living room of any quarterback prospect that you have on your radar. So, yeah, you're changing your strategy, and this is going to be detrimental considering what they have picked him up on this roster, and with Richardson, you have to anticipate moving on the hole that this now leaves in that lineup. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one unfolds.
And it's going to be on every major media outlet today, tomorrow. And the other thing that's not helping is that Florida doesn't have a game to play to kind of push this under the rug. But he's been suspended indefinitely from the program. We do know that, and that doesn't come to any shock. I would say that he's going to get his scholarship taken away. That this is something you just cannot deal with. And even if it comes out that the whole thing is much to do about nothing, I still believe that he's going to have to transfer out. There's just no way. He's 19-year-old former son of NFL quarterback John Kitna. He's arrested by the Gainesville Police Department and booked in Alachua County, which is the county for Gainesville, at 3:20 Eastern on Wednesday. So other than that, and the fact that they just lost to Florida State, everything's going great for Gator fans, right?
I mean, that's one way to put it.
And I mean, this has nothing to do with sports. This is much deeper than that. You hope that this isn't true, and that this kid can piece his life back together. But the first report that I saw is that Kitna was interviewed by officers, said he thought the images he shared were legal because he found them online, and police say that they searched Kitna's electronic devices, found 3 more images of child sexual abuse material. Of course, we don't know what that means. I don't even want to know what that means. The freshman Kitna appeared in 4 games this year, which really takes a back seat to anything, but he was 10 of 14 with 181 yards, but he was highly touted. He was supposed to be the next great, and everyone assuming that Richardson's heading to the NFL. So there you have that to wrap your head around. And we quickly move on from that because it's kind of a disturbing topic, but I feel like we would be remiss if we did not at least address it. And we'll wait till more stuff comes out down the road about this. I just don't know how you work your way around this. Remember the kid that was the pitcher for Oregon State baseball several years back? He tried to come back and pitch, and I don't know whatever even happened to him. But these are things people do not forget. And with the age of the internet, for all intents and purposes, his I'm not gonna say his life's over, but it's not looking good for him. I can tell you that. He's gonna have to somehow prove that he's innocent of what everyone is thinking of at this very moment right now, which is the worst. Anyways, let's move on from that. Let's talk about something a little more sportsy, more cheerfully. God bless. We'll try to talk about some college football rankings. Justin being a big Tennessee fan, they're on the outside looking in right now, number 7 in the college football rankings. We're going to look at some criteria that Justin brought to my attention. I talked about this on yesterday's show, how I thought it was ridiculous that Tennessee would be ranked behind Alabama. I also don't think it's going to matter, but if it does matter and they slide Alabama into the playoffs over Tennessee, this was my concern a few years back when we heard the same thing in the college football playoff committee, and they do this in the college basketball committee, Justin. They'll tell you because of an injury, said team is going to fall in their rankings, and that is total horse crap. Football is a team game. This isn't the seeding for individual golf, right? This isn't the boxing rankings. This is a football team that on any given Saturday puts anywhere, depending if it's not a blowout, 50 to 60 kids out there on the field.
Didn't Ohio State win a national championship with a backup quarterback? Or maybe they lost that national championship, but they still got into the playoff and
what's his name? A shotgun.
I can't place the name, but I can remember it. And
ended up being just nothing on the next level. But his nickname was Shotgun. He replaced the running quarterback, and I don't remember them being. Of course, he came in and lit the world on fire in the Big Ten championship. I think they were undefeated, and that's why he was they were given a pass. This is a different situation. This is Tennessee and Alabama, both with 2 losses. I don't think anyone with 2 losses is getting in, because my point the other day was you got Georgia, as we look at there, they're undefeated. Michigan and TCU, they're undefeated. If they all lose, they have a loss. I think there's only room for 1 slot to open up if, let's say, all 4 of the conference of the top 4 lose this weekend. I really think that only Ohio State's going to sneak in there. And I get why, because they have the 1 loss. But I also say that Tennessee and Alabama have a gripe in saying, but your 1 loss, you got it boat raced at home. Now, everyone coming back on Tennessee is going to say, but your second loss was a tub thumping to South Carolina team that's probably going to go to like the Tax Slayer Bowl or whatever. Alabama's 2 losses were close losses. I'm going to let you defend it, and I'll go ahead and put that there we go. The criteria up on the board. But tell me why Tennessee should be ranked in front of Alabama, and do you think they should be ranked in front of Ohio State, who got slammed at home?
I'll give them the 2 losses. I don't even think this is a contention for should you be in the playoffs. You lost that opportunity when you went on the road, and you lost to a good South Carolina team. They're ranked 19th. Let's put that on there. They also beat Clemson. But let's just go with what the top 25 or the CFP committee is supposed to go by: strength of schedule. Okay. According to ESPN, Tennessee's is number 7, Alabama's number 8. Winner would be Tennessee. Second, head-to-head game results. I think everybody remembers the outcome. Tennessee wins 52-49. Yes, it was a game-winning field goal, but they beat Alabama. Thirdly, results versus teams in the top 25 rankings. Well, Alabama beat Texas by 1, and if you call the safety that it should have been, I don't even know that that's a win. Should have been another L, but I'll give it to them. They won a 1-score game against Texas and Texas A&M. Tennessee thumps LSU by 27. You call that a boat race when it's South Carolina. They went on the road into Death Valley and they thumped them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They also beat Alabama 52-49. There's your top 25 opponents, and they lost to South Carolina. So you got to factor that in there, and then you factor in the LSU loss. So there's a little bit more, but we'll go to common opponents. And this is the one that I find funny and discredits the entire injury take that the CFP has put in. Yes, they lost Hendon Hooker, but common opponents that they both played were LSU. Tennessee boat raced them. Alabama lost by a field goal, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's not
or lost by 1.
Terribly last Saturday against Vandy. I mean, my God, they won 56-0. They could have named their score.
56-0 with their backup quarterback. Alabama took Bryce Young and played Vanderbilt, who's their starting quarterback, and won 55-3. Didn't even score as many points, and also gave up a field goal. So if we're taking head-to-head opponents and results and you're factoring it in, I don't understand how they're number 7.
See, what they're going to argue
they should be
back
ranked
is,
number 6.
What
They're
they're going to
Hendon Hooker was worth a spot.
What they're going to clap back on is they're going to say, yes, but when you played LSU, you had Hooker, now you don't. That makes you. And I've said this for years. I don't like that argument, because what you are saying is the season doesn't count. Last week is what counts. And this is not a once a week or this is not a 1 week capsule we're talking about. It's the entire season. It's the quarterback. I get that it's a very important position, but it's not like Tennessee went out and lost to Vanderbilt last week because they didn't have Hooker. And so I'm with you. I mean, I know that South Carolina loss looks bad.
They lost by 25. They boat raced LSU by 27.
Right, but the two.
What's the difference?
Right, because the two Alabama losses were close, and that's what everyone's going to clap back on. But I still come to the fact is they've got the same record, and one team beat the other team. What the hell are we talking about? But
Why did we even play the game?
There is no way this is the case. We do not get this same thing if the shoe was on the other foot. It's because it's Alabama.
Absolutely.
That's what it all comes down to. It's Alabama, and they want to find a way to put them in the playoffs because they wrongly believe that it's key to their rankings. They don't realize, man, there's so many fans out there that are just burned out on seeing Alabama in the playoffs.
Alabama escaped by Texas, escaped Texas A&M, all one-score games. Ole Miss A&M was a one-score game, and really came down to just Ole Miss running out of fourth down at the end, and they needed a touchdown to win it, and just ran out of plays. But so it's been an up and down, very close season. I just think it was disrespect to put the injury and everybody else that's on that roster to not give next man up the opportunity when they went out there against Vanderbilt and beat them by a larger margin with their backup quarterback. So the injury did not affect the performance of the offense. That was a horrible rain game, and they still hung 56 and actually shut them out.
I don't believe in putting someone in the playoffs because they were really good in 2019. What in the hell are we talking about? This is supposed to be a national championship for 2022. This is supposed to be a lifetime achievement award. And
it just further shows they need to expand sooner rather than later, and it can't get here soon enough.
Let's say all the teams had one loss. Okay. I would want Tennessee in there. Let's get some new blood in there.
I'm only upset about it because of the bowl selection. Let's just put it out there that way. I think actually Tennessee comes out better with the matchup for recruiting. Let me rephrase that. It's probably a tougher game. No knock to Kansas State, but if I'm putting pedigree versus pedigree, I'm going to say Clemson has been the top dog year in and year out over the last decade versus K-State. And I think that's a better head-to-head geographical recruitment game. And so I think the Orange Bowl, Tennessee versus Clemson, would be a very good game. So your matchup might have a little bit to do with the ranking. Alabama, K-State really doesn't scream.
Clemson. And if North Carolina upsets Clemson, the Orange Bowl.
As a Tennessee fan, you just have to hope that everybody runs the course. You are a TCU USC fan.
If North Carolina upsets Clemson, the Orange Bowl has the right to take the highest ranked ACC team. Head to head, baby. Florida State, Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. Let's go.
I would, and then you piqued my interest there. I want to rematch with Carolina too after that Music City Miracle debacle during the Dooley era. Like, I want that one back. So I'm okay with any of those.
Who saw that coming too?
I want the pedigree. I did not see that coming.
Who saw that 2 months? Because I was reading up on it, and sure enough, so if Clemson were to lose, I would think they would fall behind Florida State. And now,
but Carolina wouldn't get the nod, and
Carolina's all the way down at number 24 because they got upset last week by NC State.
True.
So we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna jump into some NFL as we're heading into God bless, it's already week 13. It starts tonight with Bills and the Patriots. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Justin Waller, Mac Magee on Armchair Quarterback Radio on WQEE. Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM, The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk.
Max, a woman in my section wants to know if we do anything gluten-free. What do I tell her? Tell her she's not allergic to gluten. She's just masking an eating disorder.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Magee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training in 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see you at practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're listening to Braves Country. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com/@BravesCountry.
I know the way I feel about this one. It's classic idealization. Surprised I don't know what idealization means.
Yeah.
Me too. I have no idea how it got in there.
Well, the season's finally here, and the players hit the field, and every man feels like a boy, and every wife could kill. 'Cause he's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of
Welcome
snacks.
back
The
here.
All-American man.
Braves Country with the Armchair Quarterbacks. 3 to 5 weekdays here on WQEE 99.1 FM. Newton, Georgia. And Justin will be here with us on Thursdays at this time. Justin, we are going into week 13 of football season. One thing you're not missing, it's week 13 of fantasy football season. And it's where the grind happens, man. You got 2 weeks to make the playoffs. I have famously had a bad fantasy football season. I blame it all on you because you didn't play this year. I feel like,
sorry, man.
I feel like that those were 2 wins I was getting every year, and now you're just, you know. I've got a few leagues where I'm doing really well. I've got a few weeks where I'm doing terribly, and then I've got a couple, you know, the majority of them this year. I've got a chance to get in the playoffs, and it's really going to come down to that last final slot. So, but anyways, real football. Because there's an old rule. Nobody cares about your fantasy football team except for you. Real football, National Football League. So tonight, it's going to be interesting to see who hits the field, because there are reports out there that the Bills got a rush of the flu in their locker room. You've seen the line change up and down a little bit. See where it hits around kickoff. But for all intents and purposes, the Bills are going to be somewhere between a 3 to 3.5, maybe even lower favorite, and the over/under still sitting around 43 points, give or take. Even without the flu situation going on, I still feel like that the Patriots have a very good chance of upending the Bills tonight. What say you?
Yeah, I'm leaning home game. Cooler weather doesn't really make a difference for Buffalo, but you just seem to get that good old Gillette feeling that Bill Belichick's going to be up to his old ways, ugly defensive game, and just really keeps the Bills off of their they're out of their main objective, which is to get that offense going and give Allen some options to have a little bit of RPO and keep the defense honest. And if Belichick can tilt that in his favor, I'm like you. I think the Patriots have a good chance to you hate to call it an upset, but I would think at this point where we had both of these teams ranked, this would be an upset.
Yeah, and kickoff, it's going to be in the mid to high 30s. The low, let me double check this real quick. The low tonight, we did so Tones and I did a Bills Patriots game last year. That game was in Buffalo and it was cold, but the thing that really made the big difference on the game was the wind. And the wind was so bad. That was the game, if you remember, Mac Jones threw one pass and they won. And it was, I don't even think Ramondre Stevenson could play in the game. I think he was injured. So it was the Damian Harris show. And it doesn't look like, I'm trying to get an up to the date. I mean, it looks like you're going to get some wind. Wind gusts in the low 20s. That's nothing to sneeze at. High enough wind gusts. See if I can get it all the way to actual game time. As man, we could get a repeat of the same thing.
Mix me in a little bit of precipitation and snow, and I'll be all right with that. I want to see an ugly, snow, windy game tonight. I doubt I get the latter, but I always love it when I get the chance to see it.
Well, one thing we know about Thursday Night Football this year is that most of them have been absolutely terrible. The Tennessee Kansas City game was one of the strange ones because it was actually a really good football game. We've got so many of these games this year that have just been absolutely horrific.
But I do think we have a great slate this weekend. You've got a lot of great matchups. It might be faint for the heart for you fantasy football fans, but for everyone else sitting there, it's going to be fun to watch.
So it looks like the wind is going to die down for tonight's game, but you're still going to get, let's see what the high is going to be. It's going to be 34 degrees, but they're expecting clear at kickoff, and it'll drop down to around 32 by the end of the game. And the wind's going to be up to around 10 to 15 miles an hour, but pretty steady around 5 to 10. That's not that bad. If they were playing Wednesday night, they were getting gusts 25, 30 miles an hour, and there was rain involved. So it looks like we're going to get a clear game. So that part, there's the betting aspect, there's the fantasy aspect. Everybody always wants to know what the weather is. And I wish I'd gone to meteorology school years ago, because I would have started building some kind of website that would have just focused on that about 20 years ago, that you would have just done nothing but sports weather. And there's still someone with the knowledge to be able to do that. So, patent pending.
I'd just be happy if you get the weather correct. I mean, that would go a long way with me.
Well, it's a lot better than it used to be. Remember, years ago, you go by the weatherman at home on the local news, and because you had nothing else to go off of. They were guessing, they were throwing darts. Now it's pretty accurate. The sites I go to for the localized weather, it's usually pretty accurate. But yeah, I'm with you. It used to be horrendous. I still don't watch the local news weather because and I'm sure that now they're just looking at the same app that I'm looking at, right? But it's just been ingrained to me that don't trust your local weatherman. Fraud.
I mean,
and which is probably isn't fair nowadays, but it is what it is.
It's all because of the magical screens.
It absolutely is. All right, moving on from that. What about that Titan Eagle game?
Well, I mean, I'd be a little bit more upbeat about it after the Packers win. And then you have the dud against the Bengals this past weekend. You're sitting here scratching your head saying, man, where this team goes on the road and does things and seems to have an identity, but then comes home, falls flat on its face. And I don't know. Can we get Downing charged by the NFL and get a suspension to kick off? Because I think they're going to need some offensive help this week. And whatever he's been calling hasn't been great. Got lucky in the Packers game that a couple of his fluke plays actually panned out. But Derrick Henry can't be your number one receiver with a screen pass for 70 yards. You've got to find a better way to scheme. And if you're having trouble in your line, then you've got to get Tanny out there and get him mobile somewhat. I know he's battling an ankle injury, but if he's a full go, you've got to have him keep the defense honest and open up some holes for the King to get rolling. And you need a wide receiver to step up. You can't man, this two tight end sets really limits you offensively to what you can do. And you saw the Bengals just load the box, and I expect you're going to see more of the same from the Eagles. The problem is you watched the Bengals expose the Titans' run defense, which had been traditionally well, and that's not the problem you want going into the Eagles game. If you didn't have enough to worry about Hurts, you've got all of his weapons. And, oh, by the way, we get to face A.J. Brown. And we're going to trout out a guy that looks like A.J. Brown. So I think you know who's going to win in the statistic column on Sunday.
You can almost bet it, and I'm going to, whatever the over is on A.J. Brown's over-under.
Yeah.
In yards. Because just like they did in week 1, they are going to want to prove that the Titans made a mistake. And I'm not even saying that they didn't. But I'm just telling you, if you want to take advantage of that, it's all about putting some hay on A.J. Brown. The only way he doesn't hit his over is injury. Because I don't think the Titans are going to worry about, like, I don't think Vrabel lays awake at night worrying about did he make the, did they make the wrong move trading him? He knows that they lost out on that trade, but it is what it is, and you move on because it was a numbers game.
Yeah, you've just got to keep Byard back deep. If you don't have him, just shadow him. And he's going to get his catches. You just can't get torched. And you don't want that catch to turn into 6 points. So that's the name of the game. Bend, don't break defense. And hopefully you get situations where you can hold the Eagles to field goals. And that honestly has to be their mentality going into this game is how many times can you walk away with the Eagles only scoring 3, because that's going to be your fighting chance for a sputtering offense that hasn't really shown any life and doesn't really seem to be changing with or without the offensive coordinator in there. So we'll see what happens.
They're starting to get some people back, but the Eagles have been torched on the ground as well. So you figure this is going to be a good game for Derrick Henry, but will they just sell all out to try to stop him? And if that's the case, then Tannehill's got to make him pay. And I know he's still hobbling, he's still banged up, but he's got to make him pay.
And you've got to have some wide receiver. You've got to have some wide receivers step up. You cannot rely on this trio of tight ends. These aren't Kittle-esque wide receiving tight ends. So it's going to be interesting to see how Philly attacks it and what Vrabel does to counter it. You've got to keep contained on Jalen Hurts. That is the big thing. And if there is one thing that I look forward to is you did do well against the Chiefs. You made it a good physical game. I think you have to play a similar style game against the Eagles. But, again, that one didn't turn out as a W. So winning the fight doesn't mean anything when you still lost the game. So we'll see if they can actually come away and get the victory this time.
And, of course, you're gonna have to keep an eye on Jalen Hurts because he can kill you. He can kill you with the air, on the ground. And then Miles Sanders is having a resurgence this year. He is tearing it up, but I think it's more the fact. I don't think there was anything wrong with Miles Sanders. I think they were not committing to making that run game go in Philly. And now they have, and Miles Sanders is on that next level.
Yeah, keep Hurts in the pocket and try and get them in long situations and take away the running game. I mean, that's easier said than done, but that's going to be the strategy they roll out, and it's going to be a dirty, grimy game. Should be a good battle.
Also, another good game, which is going to be going down at 1:00 here in Atlanta. The Falcons host the Steelers, and it's going to go a little under the national radar because the Steelers are 4-7. The Falcons are 5-7, but the Falcons are fighting for a division that is within their grasp. They're only a game behind the Buccaneers, and quite honestly, lost a game last week they probably should have won. And it feels like a must-win game. If it's not, then you're going to have to run the table after that, and nobody wants to try to do that with some of the teams they got coming up. So, with that being said, you're looking at a game that they ought to give, the Falcons ought to be able to get the W. And nothing against the Steelers, because I think they're playing better football than they have, but they're coming off a Monday Night Football win, a hard-fought win. It's going to be a short week, and then an early kickoff on Sunday. You know, I've always believed in that when it comes to the betting world. And it's a road game, 2 consecutive road games. So they were on the road on Monday night. Now they're on the road on Sunday early afternoon. I think you're going to run into a tired team, and the Falcons have got to jump on them early and not let them get warmed up and hang around, because the next thing you know, it's going to come down to where old Marcus Mariota can wheel and deal, and you can end up with the same thing that we ended up last week, because it doesn't look like Ritter's going to play until next year unless something drastically happens or they fall out of the playoff race altogether.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to keep picking on the sideline, not let him get any confidence and get going. I think that's where you saw Indy fail. Everything should be lined up for the Falcons. You just ran through all the bullet points, the short week, both games on the road. So I think Arthur will have a good game plan. I think he will draw something up that will be aggressive. You're going to see a heavily scripted right out of the box. And like you said, you want to get them and take away that run game and make Pickett make some mistakes and hopefully get to that confidence level, and don't let him build any to where he's sitting around there in a 1-score game in the fourth quarter and believes he can march down the field and sneak away with a little W there. So it's really just jump on them early and then just pounce. Don't get complacent. And yeah, I don't think we need to remind Atlanta fans about complacency in the second half.
Well, and the other thing that I would like to see is, can we get Drake London involved? I mean, it's absurd, his usage. You know, he had, what did he have last week? 2 receptions on 4 targets for 29 yards. The week before didn't fare much better. You know, Kyle Pitts is gone. He's on the IR. Beginning of the year, they were getting London involved. This is a game. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the worst pass defense against wide receivers in all of football right now. Drake London, this has got to be a Drake London game, I guess is where I'm going with this.
You know who's on the backup in that roster that we could see? Mind some Titans fans of some missed opportunities. You got Ferkser there, and the other one escapes me. And if I wouldn't have brought it up, I'd be able to tell you.
Well, I really think it comes down to London. It comes down to Zacchaeus, who, by the way, they've started to get him involved in a little more. But you've got to find a way to be able to get them in there and get the ball rolling, because if it can open up the running game.
Michael Pruitt. I knew there was a second tight end of the Titans on that roster. Arthur has picked them both up and down there. So Sneaky little plays.
If they get London rolling, if they get Zacchaeus rolling, it opens it up for Patterson and the rest of the running backs. You know, they had some decent success against Washington on the ground, but they never could quite put it all together. And of course, that deflected pass at the very end was just absolutely brutal way to lose the game. I mean, Patterson was open. He was going to waltz into the end zone. And they get that deflected pass. It turns into a tip drill interception to end the game. But it's an absolute must win. We got to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and wrap up hour number 1. You're listening to Braves Country.
Are you okay, pal?
I had a rough day on the job.
Are you going home now?
Was about to.
Well, then, you just fulfilled the first rule of law enforcement. Make sure when your shift is over, you go home alive.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in 6-pack cans in stores. Make contact.
If we actually enjoyed our New Year's resolutions, we'd all have 6-packs, money in our saving accounts, and we'd know how to play the piano. I have to tell you about the one resolution I actually enjoy. It's Built Bar. It's delicious. Oh yeah, it's healthy too. They're low cal, low sugar, high protein, high fiber, great for the keto diet. Lose or maintain weight while indulging. Visit BuiltBar.com.
Braves Country, weekdays 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM The Key, home of Braves Country. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country. Welcome back here to Braves Country. The Armchair Quarterbacks, Armchair Quarterbacks Radio. You can find us on YouTube.com/at Braves Country. And then, of course, we are here weekdays 3 to 5 p.m. on The Key, getting you rolling towards Thursday night football. Who wins that game tonight, Justin?
Going Patriots. I think they edge it out.
Yeah, I do too. I think I think it's going to be an ugly game, low-scoring game. I don't think the Patriots can win a shootout. I like the under, probably more likely. Well, I teased it, so it's in. I took the under on Monday night's game and the under on Thursday night's game. I teased them both. The first part hit, so I'm hoping for a low-scoring game. I was kind of hoping that rain was going to be involved. Looks like we're going to get a clear night, so might be a little higher scoring than what I was hoping for. But when it comes to the Patriots, if they don't come out hitting on all cylinders, you're going to be in a 13-10 game with them no matter what, and it just depends on who can figure it out to win. The Colts, not the Colts, I'm sorry, the Bills, at the beginning of the season, they look like an offense that couldn't be stopped the first couple of weeks. And then I think it's like this happens everywhere in the NFL. Teams catch up. They come up with ways to slow you down. And the next thing you know, the entire league's, it's a copycat league and they're doing the same thing. Now they haven't shut the Bills down anyone by any stretch of the imagination, other than maybe the Jets, but they have found a way to make him. When they played that Monday night game against Tennessee, and they followed it up with that Thursday night game that they had just beaten the Rams, I thought that might be the greatest offense of all time. I was like, my God, how's anyone going to stop them?
Find a way, and divisional games are hard in the NFL.
One guy that can usually find a way to slow you down, but you know, to stop you, we can slow you down, is usually Bill Belichick. Let's go ahead and dive into some college football this weekend. You got the SEC championship game, of course, big game around here for obvious reasons. Georgia Bulldogs trying to win the SEC championship game, trying to win back-to-back national championships, which I'm sure Bulldog fans would love to shut up a lot of people, because I remember one thing kept going on last year about this time is that everyone just kept reminding Bulldog fans they hadn't won the national title since 1980. So if they can follow it up with back-to-back national championships, that's going to shut up a lot of people. The over-under in that game, it's been sitting around 17. I've seen 17.5. I've seen 16.5, going up and down, even 17. I think it's going to fall right in that area. I'd say it's going to go up a tad. It usually does, the favorite. Do you see any path to where LSU can cover that spread? Because I really don't.
I don't. I think Georgia's defense is going to cause some turnovers. They're going to get some short fields, and that's going to add to just stretching it out. What could be a close game in the first half, as you see one turnover, and then it's a 3-possession swing, just boom, 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 and Georgia just put it on you. So I don't think they mess around at all. I think Georgia comes out, handles their business. I'm interested in the spread all the way to 21, to be honest. It's 21. I might pump the brakes a little, but nothing would scare me up to 20.5. And that's where I'm happy all the way up to it.
You know, here's the other thing. So they've got 2 national titles. They've got 3 total claimed. I've said this before. I don't count anything pre-Vietnam War when it comes to college football national championships, because there were so many outlets giving away so many championships. That's how Alabama has 342 that they claim. But legitimate national championships, 1980 and 2021. But here's something that has flown under the radar that I don't think a lot of people outside of Bulldog Nation have been really focusing on. Yes, they won the national title this year. You realize they have not won the SEC championship since 2017. So I think Kirby Smart wants to get that back on track. So they do have something they're playing for. I don't think it's more going through the motions.
Did not realize that, but yeah, I think they will come out and handle the business. And to that point, that just reiterates my feelings. They'll come out with a mission. And I just think LSU is a good football team, but I don't think they're a great football team. And I also think they're a team that everything has to go their way. If you get in front of them early, like A&M did, like Tennessee did, et cetera, the list goes on, I think you can get them. I think you can get them reeling is more like it. And if it's a close game, I still think Georgia's going to pull it out. It may not be the worst thing in the world for Georgia to have a hard-fought game to get them ready for the playoffs. They haven't had a very competitive game in several weeks. I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess the first half of the Kentucky game was the biggest, or Georgia Tech. I'll give them that. That was the first. Saying them down,
but I'm thinking top to finish. Kentucky, although I never had that feeling, that Georgia was going to lose that game. But the other game that I think back on that was like, is the Missouri game. But that was way back. What was that? The 5th or 6th game of the season? Man, the season always flies. But the Missouri game, where they were on the road and it felt like something could slip away. That was the game, because the Florida game, even when Florida made it somewhat close in the second half, I still never felt like Florida was going to pull that off. You never had the feeling like Tennessee was going to pull it off because they just could not move the ball. That offensive line could not get anything going against that defense. And then Mississippi State, I felt like they were toying within the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, none of them were any close in the second half. They all got stretched out, and Kentucky's the one I leaned to, was probably the closest. But again, I'm like you, I never felt like it was in doubt that Georgia would win the game, and as everybody knows, they did.
Absolutely.
Any of the championship games you have major upset alert?
The Kansas State TCU one, the second time playing, they played each other close the first time. It's a noon kickoff. That's always a problem for college kids, right? And if you look at that Kansas State game, yeah, they won it, but they won it by 10. They won it at home. I remember watching that game, and they were actually trailing at the half. And they came out and outscored Kansas State 21-0 in the second half to win by 10. Kansas State is a dangerous squad. Maybe North Carolina Clemson, because Clemson is now officially out of the national title picture. And could they go in there sluggish? And for folks that haven't seen that kid Trevor May play quarterback before, he is phenomenal. They've got themselves a quarterback in Chapel Hill.
There's probably more point spread question, but do you give Purdue any hope? I know you do. You got to like the points. I believe we're looking at 17 right now. No telling that goes up, down, but coming off that Illinois struggle at home, you have to think you're looking ahead to Ohio State. They get the big win in the Horseshoe. They've back-to-back years. Do they excel and have a slip up against the Boilermakers?
By the way,
close it off.
I think I said Trevor May. It's Drake May. By the way, he'll be back next year, and it's going to be a fun Heisman race to watch him and the kid out in Los Angeles for USC, Williams. Those two, if you haven't watched Southern Cal football and North Carolina football, those kids are the real deal. That Purdue game, I could see Purdue covering the spread because Michigan rarely just pounds a team, and they don't really need the W, and they're coming off such an emotional win against Ohio State. I could absolutely see them being flat. I just don't think it matters.
Doesn't matter. It's just one I'm watching on the spread.
It's also I don't think they get the upset. Too, let me throw this out at you. If you are Kirby Smart of Georgia, or you're Jim Harbaugh of Michigan, and you have, we'll say, a somewhat comfortable lead going into the fourth quarter, 17 points, right? And that's about where the spread is. Do your starters even play the fourth quarter? And so that's why I think you could get a backdoor cover spread. If this game was being played in the middle of October, I don't think either one of those games are close. But I could definitely see, not even look ahead on the kids' part, but will the coaches go, hey, I'm not trying to get someone's ACL torn when we're up by 24.
I can see it, especially with, look at what Hendon Hooker just here recently. So you got a Heisman finalist, or should have been. That's all said and done. But, man, I can see a coach pulling if you've got that kind of lead late in the game.
I think the best game of the entire day is going to be UCF Tulane. I'm taking the over in that one. I think that's going to be a shootout. And I do think Utah's got a puncher's chance, but that's on Friday night. I just figure they've already played once. That was USC's one loss. I really feel like USC is going to put the hammer to them.
Just kind of hope TCU and USC hold court. I don't want the what ifs to sneak in, especially as a Tennessee fan, because you have to know Ohio State and Alabama, the pedigrees are sitting there. And, a Michigan slip up, a Georgia slip up. I think that's why you keep your pedal to the metal, because if any of the top three slip up, there's going to be votes for Ohio State to jump right in there. Doesn't matter that they weren't in their championship game. And that's what I don't want to see.
Yeah, SC just has to win. TCU I still say if TCU loses, they should get in. But we all know the bias of that committee. It goes SEC 1, Big Ten 2, and after that would be Notre Dame, right?
I would think where you would have the fighting argument for TCU is, like you said, they've beat them heads up already. It's hard to beat a team twice and in a championship. They've ran the whole entire conference undefeated. Does that second game matter to TCU?
Everyone just assumes because TCU played in the Big 12, they haven't played anybody. They've had a pretty tough schedule, to be honest with you, from top to bottom. We don't have time to get into it because we're coming up at the top of the hour. But I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. At the time of the rank of the games being played, they have beaten 5 ranked teams this year.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 if they win the game on Saturday, but 5. I mean, that's impressive.
I think they're the one that I can make the argument can lose and still get in. I think you can do the same for Georgia.
Michigan too.
See that happening.
Michigan's done enough to get in already. But the one thing is it's USC. But I'll tell you what, if the committee sees Kansas State upset TCU and there's a major injury or something like that, that'll be the excuse to put them, because they just want an excuse to put Ohio State in. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
NFL's rigged. Don't forget Deshaun Watson is taking the field and Texans are getting the Gator card out.
The protests we're going to see, man, over the next several weeks. It's going.
You can't tell me it's not staged. They looked at the schedule and
absolutely.
the suspension. It's as a crock. And
some of it is them wanting him to have to be. That's a part of his punishment. His first game back is going to be in front of your, in front of your accusers, essentially. All right, brother. Well, we'll see you next week. Great job. And we will be back in a flash. Joey's on the way. Talk some NFL and much, much more here on Braves Country.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback's #1 sports station.
This is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. The National Football League is back at it tonight, 8:15 Eastern on Amazon Prime. You'll get the Buffalo Bills traveling to the New England Patriots. The Bills are a 3.5-point favorite in New England. Over-under sits at about 43. The game is enormously important in the AFC East standings. Bills are sitting at 8-3, tied with the Miami Dolphins, while the New England Patriots are 2 games back, sitting at 6-5. In the AFC wildcard standings, the Bills have the first wild card and the 5 seed. Patriots on the outside looking in, a game back of the Jets and the Bengals. They are the 8th seed going into the season. You're looking ahead to your college football weekend. Tomorrow there is an early game, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Plus. Akron is at Buffalo. Not a game of importance, but the line is Buffalo by 11. The over-under sits at 55. Also, tomorrow night, North Texas is at UTSA. That's for the Conference USA Championship. UTSA, 8.5-point favorites, over-under 69. Tomorrow night on Fox, the Pac-12 championship game sees number 11 Utah trying to sweep the Southern Cal Trojans, who are number 4 in the country. It's Southern Cal's only loss from earlier in the year, a 1-point loss to the Utes. That line is at 2.5. Southern Cal the favorite. The over-under has risen to 68. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Newnan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country. Saturday, December 10th, 3 p.m. Eastern, it's the Army-Navy game. Army Black Knights go head-to-head with the Navy Midshipmen, an American classic that dates all the way back to 1890. And the Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Network will be there bringing you the action. The 121st meeting, Army-Navy, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/at Braves Country. Want to chime in? Give us a call, 678-960-9700. That's 678-960-9700.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
It's not what he said, you ignorant wretch. Spanish is worse than your English.
Broken pretzels in the rug. The beer cans could be worse. She'll clean it up tomorrow and dread September 1st when once again.
Welcome back. WQEE 99.1 FM.
Feels like a boy and every wife could
99 The Rock coming at you. We're here till the top of the hour. And welcoming on is just an exit stage left. Here comes Joey. Joey, how the hell are you, sir?
Doing good. Pretty excited for tonight's football game between the Bills and the Patriots. I think it's going to be a good game. Both teams have something to prove. Bills been a little shaky lately. New England, they're starting to come around the corner maybe a little bit. So I'm very intrigued by that. And just doing well overall. How we doing?
That game, we're going to break it down here in a bit in the next segment, but that game's interesting. We did that game. I mentioned it in the last hour to Justin. Tones and I did the Patriots Bills last year. Now that game was in Buffalo.
Yep.
But the point being the weather was such a big deal. It doesn't look like I just double checked it again during the break. It doesn't look like it's going to be the issue that it was last time. It's going to be chilly. It's going to have, a little bit of wind, but not what it was last year when they were in Orchard Park. The wind was so bad that if you were facing the wind, neither team really attempted a pass.
Yep.
And heck, Josh Allen was in the game. So it should be interesting. New England's a 4-point underdog. We'll get into that in a minute. But before we get into anything else,
let's go.
We got to talk about this.
Oh boy.
Because we didn't get a chance to get in the last hour because Justin and I had already kind of did all of our topics going in. Couldn't quite squeeze it in. We'll get his take on it next week. But the college football playoffs has expanded.
Yep.
And it will begin in 2024 officially. Now we all knew that it was on its way, but the big question was what year it was going to take place. Well, the Rose Bowl finally got in line with everybody else and agreed to march along. And why the heck wouldn't you? But you just never know. Sometimes there's just goofy reasons why it doesn't get done. But the point is it's getting done 2000. So we only have one more season of this 4-team playoff, which I said from the jump when it first happened, it was too small. I still think 12 is too much. I'm not going to back down from that. I still think the perfect number is 7 because you would have your 5 conference champions. You put them in as automatic bids. You have to win your conference championship. And then you would get 2 at-larges, and the team with the best record in the country would have the bye. The problem is they're not going to put the toothpaste back in the tube. There's not. So we've got 12 at least going forward. I've never seen them reduce the number. Never seen March Madness because you know what? We're making too much money over here. Let's go ahead and dial it back. I think what's going to get lost in the melee of this, and you'll never be able to explain to future generations. Kind of like it's hard for me to explain to you younger guys things that I went through and got to see as a sports fan that you can't really appreciate because you were born into what is going on now, and it is what it is. But what you're going to see come of this is a much more exciting postseason, but not as an exciting regular season. We've already seen it take place because no longer is one loss eliminating you from the national championship picture. Used to back in the day, there'd be one team that would end up undefeated, and sometimes there was a second one, but then the other, it was a popularity contest. If we were in that situation today, with the BCS the way they used to have with just the two teams. TCU would be on the outside looking in because I guarantee you they would put Michigan and Georgia in over TCU. And if you're a Big 12 fan or a TCU fan, that may or may not be fair, but that's exactly what would have happened. But so we have 4, so it doesn't really matter. But the problem is Georgia doesn't need to really win their conference championship game. Michigan doesn't really need to win their conference championship game. TCU probably does, but there's a route where TCU could get in without it. The only one in the top 4 that has to win this weekend, without a doubt, it's USC. That's Friday night. But going forward, see if I got this pulled up. Just about. Let me fix the screen here. Okay. Good. What we're going to look at here is I'm going to cut it off at, we have to just expand this a little bit. Here we go. I'll cut it off at about the top 15 teams in the country. Because I feel like that's what we're looking at there, Joey. I don't know if you can see this or not on your screen, but I know the audience on YouTube can. And if you're listening on WQEE 99.1 FM, we're going to keep you abreast on what's going on, but we do simulcast this on YouTube. So Braves Country Baseball on YouTube. So what we're looking at here is Georgia. If we had 15, if we had a 12-team tournament right now, I think you can look at the top 10 of being pretty safe. The only one that may be in trouble would be Clemson. If they lost, then they could possibly fall out, and they would almost be you'd almost say that they're being penalized for having to play that. Same thing with LSU. But it would be interesting to see Clemson's 10, LSU's 11. And Joey, I don't know if you know, but you're on mute. Clemson's 10, LSU's 11, Utah's 12. All 3 of those teams, and 13 is Kansas State. All 4 of those teams play this weekend. And so there would be interest because it'd be jockeying for position. If some of these teams lose, would that move 14 Florida State or 15 Oregon back into the picture? And the way they have it set up is you're going to have the top 4 seeds get a bye. And then after that, what they've said is that the first round, teams 5 through 8 are going to host the first round in their own stadium. So if we're looking at this right now, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, and Penn State would all host the first round. And then after that, they would be playing, if we just go off the rankings, 9, 10, 11, 12 in, which I do believe that they would change over the weekend, but let's just go for argument's sake. Washington would be at Penn State. Clemson would be at Tennessee. LSU would be at Alabama. What a fun one that would be, along with the Clemson, Tennessee. And then Utah would be at Ohio State. After that round, then it's going to go to bowl games, and the top 4 seeds, they're technically a home team, but it's not really going to matter because they're seeding. But they will have gotten a week off and gotten to prepare for said game. What say you?
Yeah, when I go back to all this and your original question on what I think about it, I personally really like it. I have not been a big fan, and being a Notre Dame fan, it plays part of the factor. But when you lose one game and you're not Alabama, you're not Georgia, you're some of those teams that get one loss and they're usually pretty safe. Most of these teams would be on the outside looking in after week 1, 2, or 3, with just maybe a bad performance. Maybe you got a few injuries. Maybe you're not up to par yet. So I did like them getting the playoff going. I thought it was, even though I did like all the bowl games, getting a 14 playoff was at least something to get off the ground. I wouldn't have minded to jump to 7, 8, but 12. Hey, the more the barrier. I don't think after 12, I would not like to see it grow. But maybe 16 at the highest.
You know, 16's coming, or at least
15, I know,
or at least 15's coming.
Yeah, so let's okay.
If you're gonna grow it, I say do it 15, because I want there to be a reason why you want to be the number 1 seed, other than you think you're gonna get a better seeding.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. So it's like 15 would be my absolute max. But I always think when you're in the top 25, I mean, I have this top 25 ranking for a long time now, but to me, of course, it means something. And if you're working with, 15 or 14 or 16 teams, you might be able to get more of these teams near the bottom. I mean, right now you have a UCLA at 17, and Oregon State and Oregon, Florida State, who has played really good this season. You're going to have those teams that would still possibly be going into the mix here down the stretch, instead of after they fumble out the gates, they're already eliminated. So I do like the direction.
Speaking of that, you've got, so if you eliminate the top 3 teams, Georgia, Michigan, and TCU, who obviously are all undefeated, so they wouldn't be in this conversation. But if you eliminate that part of the top 15 teams that are ranked in the college football poll right now, only Washington has a longer win streak than Southern Cal and Florida State. So they've won. So Washington's won their last 6 games. Florida State and Southern Cal have won their last 5. And they do this in college basketball. I think that would come into play at the end.
Well, and exactly like I was just going to point out, when it comes down to it, it always helps if a team has those bigger victories or that winning streak going near the end of the season. Of course, every game matters, but at the beginning of the season, it's just a reality. People lose a little bit of touch with it. They see how a team grows. Maybe a team falls off, and it just simply doesn't mean as much as it does down the stretch. So when you're looking at teams like Florida State, you're looking at teams like Washington, you're looking at teams like Penn State. They've been a little bit hot lately, getting wins under them. They're going to take that into a factor. And with this expanded playoff, I think this will be more of a, I'm not going to say an NCAA I am going to say kind of an NCAA basketball field where you're going to be pulling more categories because you have more teams. And at the end of the day, when you have more teams being able to make the playoff, you're going to consider a lot more teams to make the playoff.
Yeah, I feel like if we got to that point, they're going to start eliminating teams that are kind of playing poorly down the stretch. And that's where a team like Tennessee would be in trouble, but they'd be safe this year because they only have 2 losses.
Right.
But the teams that would be more susceptible to that kind of thing would be the backbreaker that LSU just had. Now, what if LSU lost to A&M and then again lost to Georgia? And what if they got pounded by Georgia in the SEC title game? That could eliminate them. So, but the point being, it would make this weekend very, very exciting. That's why I would prefer you have to have a conference championship under your belt to be able to go to the playoffs, and then just 2 at-larges, because it would make conference championship weekend so big, right? But it is what it is now. It'll be interesting to see how many schools start trying to talk their conferences and not doing the conference championship because they don't want the added game.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't, when we think about all this stuff, because more madness, more football, more fun, I don't always consider those, possible negatives that play into effect. And you're right. What's the point of playing a championship game if you feel you're already qualified for the playoff where you could get players injured? Yeah,
because for folks who don't remember it or weren't alive to live it, when the conference championship games came about, it came about for 2 reasons. It was to obviously add revenue, right? Because it's always a big money get. But the other thing was it was to separate you come BCS championship weekend. Now, the very first one was SEC title, and that was before the BCS. But the BCS came around about 5-6 years later. And by then, all the major conferences, they were having a conference championship game because they didn't want to be left out. And they realized, man, you go out there and you win your SEC championship game and the rest of us aren't playing a conference game. We kind of look like duds, and they're going to take the SEC champion, assuming that it's not like a 4-loss team. So that's how you ended up with the ACC championship, the Big 12, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I think it's going to go in reverse. I'll give you a perfect example.
Let's hear it.
Now, Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC, if it was going on in 2024, they would still want to win because they want to guarantee that they get a bye, right?
Yeah.
But what's motivating Clemson to go all out, ranked number 10 in the country, most likely win, lose, or draw on Saturday? They're in the playoffs. What's motivating them?
Maybe to get a home game.
Maybe, but big picture,
right.
What if their experts are telling them, and Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State, you're not leapfrogging any of them.
No.
So now I would tend to think that you're right. I would tend to think that when the chips are down and they go to make the selections, they're going to come out and say, look, we put Clemson in the top 8 because we felt like they deserved to host because they won the ACC, or we left them out and we put someone else in because they didn't win, right?
Yeah.
Or Kansas State deserves not only to get in, but they deserve to be in the top 8 because they won the Big 12. Same thing with LSU or what have you. But that would make conference championship Saturday, if you made it a criteria, come up with some kind of criteria to make sure that you are a host team. And then, of course, you have to look at the fact that all those teams that I named, of the top 15, every single one of them is a Power 5 team. So you have to go all the way down to Tulane at number 18. What if Tulane wins their conference championship? Do they catapult into the top 12 and put them at the altar, so to speak, to be able to play? They might get smoked, but they would get a chance to play. We'll just say, for argument's sake, Ohio State in the horseshoe.
This thing gets all interesting, right?
It's fun. It is. It's made college football fun again.
I totally agree because, to me, if you're going to have a playoff, because like you said before, even I was in this time, but it started before my time. When you have all these bowl games and the big bowl games, every bowl game mattered. Making a bowl game mattered for your school, it mattered for yourself. It just meant a lot. With the playoff, it took some of that away. But the problem with the 14 playoff, you're giving a very limited scope. How many times have we seen Alabama, Clemson, Georgia head into this thing? Now with 12 teams, why shouldn't a team like a Florida State, who's had a really good season coming where they're from last year, or why shouldn't a team like Oregon State why should they just not be even qualified because they're not in the top 4 out of 50, 100 schools? It brings a lot more intrigue and fun, and I can't wait for it. I wish it was next year.
Absolutely. We're going to talk a little bit more about this at the towards the top of the hour. Got to get into some NFL talk, but I'm telling you, this has opened the doors wide open. And then, of course, you got the wild card, Notre Dame. Does Notre Dame start going, man, we got to get in a conference because it would give us a better chance to get in here because Notre Dame's on the outside looking in today at number 19, right? But it is that time. We got to take a quick break. 420, smoke them if you got them. We'll be back in a hot flash here on Braves Country with the Armchair Quarterbacks. Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is handpicked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to dixiehandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute? I love Little Bites. I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay? Got it. As I was saying, whenever I bring home you know what, you know who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious. I love Little Bites. There you go. Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffin, the perfect portion of happiness.
You're not sick tonight, are you? Good. Your tongue's going to be hanging out. Tell him to throw up on his own time.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, home of Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, and YouTube.com @Braves Country.
Georgie, would you like some Jell-O?
Why'd you put the bananas in there?
George likes the bananas.
So let him have bananas on the side.
All right, please. Please, I cannot have this constant bickering. Stress is very damaging to the epidermis.
I don't care.
Saturday, December 10th, 3 p.m. Eastern, it's the Army-Navy game. Army Black Knights go head-to-head with the Navy Midshipmen, an American classic that dates all the way back to 1890. The Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Network will be there bringing you the action. The 121st meeting, Army-Navy, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Welcome back here to Braves Country, here on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Please like and subscribe today. And also you can join us on WQEE Noonan, Georgia, 99.1 FM, rocking our way all the way to the top of the hour. And where Farrell Coast to Coast will be jumping on and taking over. Okay, we're going to put a pin in the college football talk for a second. Because, Joey, I could stand out there with the case of beer and talk about this till 6 a.m. with you. Because this is a loaded topic. I couldn't have been more excited when I saw that it was actually verified this morning. The news kind of broke last night, but it was verified this morning. And so,
hey, you bring the beer, I'll bring our friend Jack, and we'll have a good old time.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't believe that we're finally going to get it, and it's going to be sooner than later. I thought they were going to kick this thing down the road. What's going to be even more insane is that looks like by 2024, you put this into the mix, Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners will be in the Southeastern Conference. Let's go. Come on, baby. Rock and roll.
Does not get much better than this. It really does not.
And if the rumors are even remotely true, Florida State and Clemson are heading towards the Southeastern Conference. And what will that do to the ACC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? But we'll put a pin in all that. And I think Notre Dame's going to head to the Big Ten. Now, there's an outside chance that I've seen that Florida State's being wooed by the Big Ten as well. And that would be kind of wild for them to be playing there. I would not prefer it because I really don't want us to spend half our road games in freezing temperatures. And I bet you there's a lot of Big Ten teams because I don't want to go to Tallahassee in September.
Good luck cramping up.
Right. But anyways, moving on from that, National Football League tonight. Now, a couple of things come across the wire over the last hour or so that just want to get caught up in case people have not seen it. Number one, Von Miller has been sent to the IR, which means best case scenario, see you week 17. Because if you're going to the IR now, it's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's best case scenario. We could be talking about playoffs before he's back. I think that's more realistic. Because unless Buffalo's fighting for their playoff life in week 18, I don't think they're going to risk it.
Yeah, and Miami's going to make that a little tough down the stretch, but you're right. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs whether it's wild card or division, so it's going to.
They should.
Yeah.
Unless they flat out collapse.
Correct.
So that that right there was the big news. The other thing was that I've circled here that affects you boys up in Chicago. Justin Fields practiced fully today. That affects a lot of folks on the betting line, affects a lot of folks in the fantasy football world. And it affects the fact that football seems to be, it's going to be more fun and better when Justin Fields is on the field and actually taking snaps.
And contrary to that, I mean, all my buddies here in the Midwest, besides my little weasel self being the Colts fan, they're Bears fans, obviously, and they don't really want, even though it's Bears Packers, they want this guy to be fully healthy. They're just scared that they don't really want him to play. But I go, hey, if the guy's healthy, I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to sit a healthy guy. I don't think Justin Fields has it in to be one of those. He wants to get out there. So a lot of my friends are just wary with the injury and everything that something could act up in the cold winter.
Tell your friends to pipe down because I have a very large share of him in fantasy football.
And you know what's funny about that?
The home stretch, baby. Let's go.
I was going to say the only Bears fans that really want to play are those fantasy owners out there because down the stretch, he's going to be nasty.
You're damn right. Let's get him in there. Look, I'm not trying to put Trevor Siemian down, but he sucks. So let's get Fields in there and let's rock and roll.
The Bears are unwatchable without Justin Fields.
Yeah, and it's not even that he's become this great passing quarterback, but he's just that dynamic on the ground.
Correct.
Now, if he cannot run, don't start him because there's no point in it. It's like putting Lamar Jackson out there with the bad leg. Just there's no point.
I agree.
You're going to linger the process. You need him back. I'm not saying he's got to be 100% because the NFL, nobody's 100% in week 13, but he's got to be rolling at 85%. It's his non-throwing shoulder, so it shouldn't affect him as much. But we all know a good smack on the shoulder, et cetera, et cetera. I would be talking to him, though, if I'm the coaching staff, about when you have an opportunity, let's slide. Let's not go diving into anything, right? We're going to call running plays, but let's not go bananas here and go diving for a first down on 2nd and 7, right?
If you have a chance of being hit, take the safe play, slide or go out of bounds.
Right. Now, there's the other argument against it is sit him if you're a Bears fan because you want a higher draft pick. Because the Bears aren't making the playoffs. But anyways, we move on from that. I just thought those were two really big stories that we had to hit. Others they'll pop up along the way. We'll get them out there to you, but those are two of the big ones. All right. Tonight, Bills, Patriots. And the game, of course, it's 8:15. And if you haven't really paid attention to Thursday night football, not, really caught up to speed, it is on Amazon. So if you don't have Amazon Prime, you're not getting it. That's a different conversation for a different day. But tonight's game will be on Amazon 8:15. It's in New England. New England's a 4-point favorite right now on the Caesar Sportsbook out of Las Vegas. 43.5 is the over-under. Give you a couple other side bets that are out there right now as I generate the string, make sure these are up to speed. First half, Bills -3. Here's an interesting one. Let's see what they got the number. Over under pass attempts, Mac Jones 32.5. Over under pass attempts, Josh Allen 35.5. I am banging that under on Mac Jones all day long.
I was gonna say my head was.
He threw one pass last year against them.
Because look at it this way: if they're playing well, that means they're going to run the ball in the second half, which is going to limit it. And if they are playing from behind, he's still not a big time passer. They're not. If they're down big, they're already out of it from the get go. So I do like the under on the 32.
Yeah, I don't see any way, anyhow, that he throws that many passes and they're even remotely.
They would have to get down big, probably. That would be the only way I could see it. But I don't see this being a blowout, so that wouldn't be a consideration for me.
Did I get in? Yeah, I got it in. I just locked myself in there.
You dirty dog.
32.5 under. Hit bang that all day long. Let's go. I don't tell people to jump on something if I'm not willing to jump on it myself.
Amen.
I've already taken the Patriots in the points on a teaser. And I have the second half of a teaser from Monday night that needs to hit is the under. What number am I looking at that? Because I think the over under now is 43.5. I think I got it a tad higher, but yeah. So my teaser on that is I need that score to stay under 50.5. And that teaser comes in because I got the first part of the teaser. Steelers, Colts under. I took the under on that. It got close. I thought I was in the goods when we hit halftime. I was like, man, this game's going to turn into
set back football back 50 years. That
the freaking kickoff return that started the whole thing in the second half. I was like, oh, God. That's the one thing. If you never bet these over-unders, you see a kickoff return, you're like, that just threw everything out the door because it just sped up the whole scoring process. And I know nobody likes to bet the unders. The overs is more fun. But where's that number at that I came across? See, here we go. This has nothing to do with over-unders, although the unders are still leading this year like they normally do. But they're not leading as big because Vegas has learned to drop the line. But check this out. I find this is a very telling stat. Do with it as you may. 79 National Football League games through week 12 have been decided by 6 points or less. 79. That is the most ever in National Football League history since the point spread started getting tracked. Okay? That goes back about 50 years, I believe. The underdog, and this is a weird trend. The underdog is a whopping 19 games, 94 and 75 above 500 against the spread. Typically, it's pretty close, but typically the favorite is the number that hits. So what you're seeing is closer games, and you're seeing underdogs cover.
Yeah, and overall as a whole, the NFL has been down on scoring this year as well. So part of me wonders, we are getting closer games, but are we getting better quality of games? Because some of these low-scoring games, for example, when you look at like the Broncos and Panthers from last week, the Colts and Steelers, some of these games that the scores end up being close, but how good of games are they? The quality of football, I don't know if it's these young quarterbacks making more mistakes. We had a decent amount of quarterbacks already benched and stuff like that. But the defenses have caught up in some regard because we're not seeing that high-powered offense 34-30 games all the time like we used to. We're seeing a lot of barn burners that get a little
ugly. Excuse me. Make sure I'm on the right week here. So we're going to be doing Joey's locks here in a second, but looking at some of these other lines going into the weekend. So if you're into that Bills-Patriots game, which I am, I like New England at home.
I do too.
And I do like the under. I think it's going to be close, but I think the weather's going to have a lot to do with it. I feel like neither one of these teams are going to reach 20 points. And if they do, it's like 20-17, 21-17. I feel like it's going to, the under is going to hit.
Yeah.
Looking at some of the other games that I find very intriguing, Jags-Lions. The Jags are a 1-point favorite in Detroit. That seems like a trap. Because logistically, you want to say, man, the Jags are playing pretty good football. The Jags came back on the Ravens. And the Jags have looked pretty good the last few weeks. And they might be really on a roll. But it feels like Vegas is trying to suck you into it. The lowly Lions, poor woe is me. Let's hammer the Jags and let's go. And then the Lions find a way to it. Remember, the Lions are still at home.
That game, I'm probably staying away from it.
And we don't know yet either if ETN's going to play.
And that's a big deal.
They think he's going to, but it's not It's not a given. Now, if not, it'll be Jermichael Hasty stepping in there. And he had a couple of nice catches out of the backfield, but running wise, he was kind of I had to pick him up a couple weeks because I have ETN. And if push comes to shove, I'm going to have to start him. I don't want to start him, but I have to. I'm more likely to start Benny Snell if he gets a start with the Steelers because I know he'll get usage. I don't know about Jermichael Hasty. But anyways, a couple of the other interesting ones as we head towards the weekend. Browns giving up 7 at Texans. I mean, they should have made that the 4:00 national game of the week. They should have flexed that game, made it the Sunday night game of the week. Everybody wants to see the Houston crowd booing the hell out of Deshaun Watson, don't they?
Yeah, and it'd be a heck of a lot better than watching my Colts, that's for sure.
Now, this is the game that I'm most excited about is Dolphins 49ers.
Who do you like?
I think the 49ers are going to get the W, but it's a really good I would not give up the 4 points. I can tell you that right now.
I know, because to me, it seems too easy to jump on Miami.
Yeah.
Like way too easy.
I don't want to. The Dolphins have 3 road games coming up. I was looking at this morning. And I feel like if they want to be considered an actual Super Bowl contender, they got to win 2 of the 3. They go to the 49ers. Next week is being flexed, the game at the Chargers. And then after that, they go to Orchard Park in Buffalo. Now, that is a tough stretch of games. If they win 2 of those 3, I will give them the nod and say that they're for real. Until then, I know everyone's excited about what Tua has done, but he hasn't done it against anybody really, right? And I know they're undefeated in games that he's played and finished. They're 8-1 in games he's played, but remember he got knocked out in the Cincinnati game pretty quick. So they're 0-3 in games he did not finish. But even with that being said, I still have to see them beat a team like the Niners. I have to see them beat a team on the road like the Chargers, the Bills. Until then, if they go out there and go 0-3, I'm just not going to have any faith in them. If they go 1-2, I'll say this is what I thought they were, a team that could be a pretty good team, maybe most likely a good AFC playoff team, but I don't know if they're going to get very far.
And even on top of that, to your point about Miami, I want to see them not only play like the Buffaloes, but like in Buffalo in the cold. I want to see in New England in the cold. Yeah, they usually fare decent with New England, but these really good teams like Buffalo, Kansas City, when you go there in playoff time, they want to get a higher seed and stay at home, Miami, because they're going to go into some frigid conditions with teams who know how to win when it matters most.
Oh, man, we're getting screwed, by the way. I just checked. We're getting Chiefs Bengals here locally. So that is what it is. But I was hoping with our Armchair Studios are in Jacksonville, Florida. I was hoping that being in Florida, we would get the nod for the Dolphins coverage, but instead we're getting, Bengals Chiefs is good, but I'll be locked into Red Zone hoping I can get some kind of, update on that, or I'll be on some backdoor website that'll take me to the Dolphins 49ers. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive more into tonight's Thursday night football and get back into some college football talk. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country, Armchair Quarterback Radio, coming to you live on WQEE.
Now, I'm not saying I've never driven drunk, because I've drank so much in my life. Now on the back of my driver's license, there's a list of organs I need.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
How to improve your dining room by the Home Depot. New wood floors, new paint on the walls. Sure, you know us for that. But how about a new dining room table, matching chairs, bar stools? How about free and flexible delivery with easy online returns? Now you can explore decor in a whole new way. Save now on furniture, everything for your home, everything from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Whatever We Have in Stock Are Us, your one-stop place to shop for whatever we happen to have lying around at the time.
You're listening to WQEE, home of Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Richie's gone.
What do you mean gone?
Gone.
Where?
Come on, after 18 years of marriage, don't make me make you an accessory after the fact.
An accessory after the... Holy sh...
Stop asking.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I took care of it.
That was not a marriage made in heaven. Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
The armchair quarterback, he's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Welcome back. We're rocking and rolling towards the top of the hour on this Thursday. Hope you're getting ready for some Thursday night football. You know, unfortunately, we don't get a college football game, but I did notice something that's a little odd. Have you looked at the college football slate for tomorrow? We got a day game on a Friday. And it must be some kind of a makeup because I don't see where it's listed as being a championship game.
An ESPN Plus game, Akron Buffalo, huh?
Yeah, Buffalo. So do that with what you may, but it's in Buffalo. So Bills Mafia will either be in a real good mood or a real bad mood, and they might show up there and crash that party.
And I didn't know I thought the Pac-12 championship was on Saturday. I'm delighted.
No. It's been on Friday for the last several years.
I'm delighted by that.
I love it. Now, I think the reason why you don't know that is because it hasn't been relevant in a lot of these.
Right.
It's or a good matchup. This is a really good matchup. I'm really looking forward to it. And on that note, we will be here Saturday, 2 p.m. to about 3:30 p.m. right here on WQEE, and we'll simulcast on our YouTube channel as well. But WQEE is the Key is carrying the Southeastern Conference Championship game, so we'll lead you into that pregame coverage. So hopefully folks can stop by there, and we'll definitely open up the phone lines for that. But yes, Friday you've got 3 games. You've got North Texas at UTSA, which that is the Conference USA Championship. That's at 7:30 on CBS Network. Now, you're either a fan of one of those teams or you have a big time gambling addiction if you're watching that one, because the Pac-12 is a half hour later and it's Utah USC. I don't know enough about. Only thing I know about UTSA is that they're usually pretty good. And one of our contributors, Tony, it's his favorite he's a Gator fan, but it's his favorite non-Gator team for whatever random reason. But other than that, I would have I would assume UTSA is going to win that one. They're 8.5 point favorite at home. But anyways, that's going to roll us right into the SEC championship game on Saturday. LSU, Georgia, 4:00. We're going to get into that here in 1 second. I do want to put some final thoughts on that NFL tonight. Bills, Patriots. Give me a score, Joey.
I'm gonna go Buffalo 23, New England 20. Because I believe in New England and the points. I think it's gonna be not as ugly as last year, because like you said, alluded to all that when we don't have that this time. It looks like about mid-40s at night, not terrible weather for Foxborough. I think New England finds a way to keep it really, really close, even gets the early lead. But at the end of the day, I feel like Buffalo just comes out a little bit on top. So I like the under just slightly, and I like New England in the points.
I think this is a Nick Folk game. Give me the Patriots 19 off of 4 field goals by Nick Folk, 19-17 over the Bills. They get the win outright. They cover the spread, and they get the under. If they lose this game, if Bill Belichick loses this game, he knows it is going to be a tough fight the rest of the way to try to make the playoffs. And you're looking at, first of all, these Bills Patriots games are usually hard hitting. I'm really looking forward to this one. They face each other one more time into the season in Buffalo.
Man, that could be a game for New England where that's win or in, or that could be
absolutely. Yeah, it could be for that, and it could be now. If Buffalo gets to cruising, it could be Buffalo's not playing their starters in the second half.
Right. Yeah, it depends how Miami does. They might be fighting for that division berth, but we'll see what happens on the stretch. Still a lot of football to be played.
Also, Buffalo, I don't think, Buffalo may not play their players at all that week, because typically if you're going to have the bye week, you want to play your starters the first half so they don't have 2 weeks off. But I don't know if Buffalo's going to have a bye. I think Kansas City's cruising to the 1 seed.
It's going to be interesting to see what Miami does to be able to keep up.
Miami is obviously a factor there too, but once again, Miami's got a 3-game road trip that's going to be really.
That was not an easy task. You are right.
Now, one thing is said for Buffalo, they do have the tiebreaker on Kansas City. They did beat Kansas City earlier in the year.
That's right.
But you got to get to that. See, Buffalo. Okay, looking at New England's schedule, they're at home against Buffalo tonight, and then obviously they got the 11 days off, or 10. No, 11. They don't play again until Monday night, a week from Monday night. Wow.
Whew.
Okay, so they essentially have another bye week. So that'll be at Arizona, at Vegas, and then they'll come home for Cincinnati and Miami, and then at Buffalo.
Wow.
I hate to break it to Patriots fans. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Not after what I just
what that tells me is they have to win tonight. Absolutely have to win tonight.
Because you can't lose on your home field to Buffalo, especially when you have to play them again. Even though, like you said, they could be resting people. But with the rest of that gauntlet schedule, oh my goodness, tonight is massive.
After losing last Thursday night on Thanksgiving, they've got to put together a 3-game winning streak. They've got to beat Buffalo. They've got to beat Arizona. They've got to beat Vegas. Those are teams they should beat. Because then you come home against Miami and Cincinnati, and you're hoping to split that. And then that final game against Buffalo, you'll need to win it, but you may not be going up against their starters.
Yeah.
That is a tough pill down the stretch. Cincinnati's on a lot of people's schedule down the stretch. Let me look at their schedule real quick. I swear every time we talk about one of these teams, Cincinnati's playing them. Cincinnati's playing Kansas City this week, and obviously that's a tough one. They've got Cleveland at home. Of course, the fans will be up for that with Deshaun Watson and whatnot. Then they're at Tampa, at New England, home against Buffalo, and home against Baltimore. That is a tough road. So the AFC continues to be wide open, and I think it's a little more achievable than I think a lot of folks thought at the beginning of the season, when it looked like you could pencil in 6 of the 7 teams into the playoffs. I think you've got a little bit more. I still think there's the upper echelon in the NFL, in the AFC, excuse me, and then there's the next ring. But as far as teams that can make the playoffs, the only teams that I would, if you have 7 losses right now, I almost have to eliminate you, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt because if you win out, but you have to win out.
Right.
One caveat to that is your Colts, because though they are 4-7-1 with 7 wins, they can only get to what, 9-7-1 is their best case scenario. Is that right?
Yeah, 9-7-1 with they'd have to win 5 in a row. Their schedule is too tough. It ain't gonna happen. I'm looking at the draft.
So that's going to be an issue. But anyways, 7 teams or 7 slots are being fought over by 9 teams, and they're going to go up and down. And the Chargers are going to have to get some W's. That game that I mentioned that's next week, that's going to be flex. Not only do the Chargers need to beat the Raiders this week, but they really need to beat the Dolphins next week, because that could come down to tiebreakers. But the Chargers and the Patriots on the outside looking in with 5 wins, everyone else has 4 wins or less. And unless you're the Tennessee Titans, who can go and run and hide because they're in the AFC South and all they got to do is win that division, that's they could probably skate to a 9-8 finish to still win that division.
Derrick Henry could take a month off and they'd be okay.
In theory, they might be able to not win another game and still win that. 7-9 might win that division. I don't think it'll be 7-9, but if they went 7-9, you could make an argument that the rest of the teams chasing them, Jacksonville, the only team that might be able to catch would be Jacksonville, because Jacksonville plays them twice. So if Jacksonville swept that season series, that would give them a distinct advantage. But heck, Jacksonville's 4-7. All right, college football real quick. We'll get back to that tomorrow. Big show, busy show tomorrow. Bobby's with us. Tones is with us. We're going to be talking, obviously, the college football playoffs. We're going to be talking the SEC championship game, get kind of a breakdown of that, and leading into the Pac-12 championship tomorrow night, and then all the games. And then, of course, we got the pregame show, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on WQEE, The Key. 90-minute kickoff show that'll lead you right into the SEC title game. All right.
Amen.
Let's get into some more college football talk real quick. And if you look at the college football spreads,
oh yeah,
I'm just going to hit you with some, and then you've got to give me your stupid underdog pick and your lock.
Cool.
So go ahead and hit me with your stupid underdog pick and your lock real quick.
My super underdog pick, I'm going to take us to I'm going to go to the Big Ten championship and go with Boiler Up, the Boilermakers, plus I believe it is 16.5. Oh, now up to 17 points, it looks like. So Purdue is at Michigan, obviously on Saturday night on Fox at Lucas.
Now the stupid underdog picks, the ones that have been taken, let me tell you real quick.
Oh, okay. That could play a factor.
Purdue and the Colts have been taken.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll go with my backup choice. I'm going to go to SEC country and take LSU, even though I hate Mr. Brian. Hate's a strong word. Dislike Mr. Brian Kelly. I just think, hey, this is it for them. They know they have no shot at the playoffs. They're getting 17.5 on CBS on Saturday. Do I think they're going to win? Probably not, but I need a lot of ground to make up. And Georgia might be overlooking this one, as they probably make it regardless.
So we'll put you down for LSU plus 17.5.
Yep.
And then what is your lock of the week?
My lock of the week.
There have been no locks taken, by the way, because I'm waiting to do mine tomorrow.
Absolutely. So my lock of the week, I'm going to take us to the National Football League and to Jets at Vikings. Minnesota on their home field is only given 3 points away. I think everyone's way too high on Mike White from last week. We've seen him have a good game or two last week they played the Chicago Bears. a lot of points in that game. Their defense always does. So I wasn't as impressed like everybody else. I'm going to give up the 3 and take Minnesota Vikings on their home field as my lock of the week. And boy, do I need it. Come on, Minnesota.
Wait a minute. You're going to talk about the Jets giving up a lot of points when the Vikings got roasted on their own home field 40-3 by the Cowboys a couple weeks ago?
You know what? You're very true with that statement. I'm just saying throwaway game.
Saying.
That's the game you ball up the paper.
Your slightly older twin brothers, New York Jets. They got Mike White at the helm now. It's not Zach Wilson. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh,
White era. No, I'm with I'd probably be I feel like that over under is a tad low. That Jets defense is really good. And can Mike White do it 2 weeks in a row? I think that's why the over under is so low.
Yeah, and that Bears defense has been so bad all season. Like you said, the Vikings just got blown out. I think they're gonna have things ready to go for this week. That's just my thought.
I'm still quite a ways off, and I'll give the update tomorrow because we don't have time right now. But I closed the gap a little bit on the stupid underdog pick because remember last week I took South Carolina.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm still quite a ways away, but I've closed the gap a little bit. I might at least be able to catch Doug by the end.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, exactly. What is your walk off for the day, sir?
I'm going to be glad to get out of the cold in Chicago and head to Tampa this weekend for a little bit of a break. We're going to be going to Monday Night Football, the Lightning game on Tuesday. A lot going on. We'll be in your great state. Really looking forward to it and enjoying all the football along the way. Thank you, WQEE, for having me again. This has been a blast, and I can't wait for next week to be back.
All right, and before we get out of here, my walk-off is the great Gaylord Perry. He passed away.
R.I.P.
And really sad news. I believe he was 82. I might have that wrong. But Gaylord Perry, 2-time Cy Young Award in 72 and 78, and 314 wins for the Hall of Famer. He threw a no-hitter in 1968. He also pitched for the Atlanta Braves for one season in 1981. We're going to get out of here. We're back here tomorrow, 3 to 5 Friday. A feel good Friday here on the Key and the Armchair Quarterback Radio, Braves Country. We'll see you.
We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports. Hey, sports fans, the Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. weekdays 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key 99.1 FM and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. If you're looking for the highest quality